our first episode of Student Life. I'm Ricardo Morales.
And I'm Shaija Leonard.
Student Life connects students, faculty, and staff of Suny College of Old Westbury by presenting shared experiences here on campus. We have a lot to cover on today's show. What do we have?
We're going to head over to the Advisement Center to learn more about advising.
We also go to Club Bash, where we learn about some of the clubs you may not know about on campus.
And following that, my favorite part, I got the chance to interview Professor Manfredi, who is the manager of our very own OWWR.
But first, Club Bash is a showcase that highlights all of the clubs here on campus. Haley was on the scene of it all. Let's take a look.
Reporting live for Old Westbury TV, and I'm here with the Level Up Club.
I'm Alejandro Mateo, the president of Level Up.
My name is Ujay Rebu, I'm the secretary of Level Up.
My name is Jesse Yoma, I'm the public relations of Level Up.
My name is Babajide Julius.
My name is Chabunda Chikwezi, and I'm the treasurer.
Great. And tell me, what will you guys be doing this semester?
Basically, we're going to throw programs, events, so stay look out for that. We're basically about elevating and educating the student body. We want you to be the best possible version of yourself and make the change that you want to see in the world.
Great. And when do you guys meet?
We didn't determine that yet, but we'll definitely let you know. Just sign up on our board and we know.
Okay.
Come find us and come sign in. Get some candy, we got some snacks here.
Yeah.
Great. Well, you heard it here first. Come join.
Hi, my name is Michelle. I'm the secretary of the Photography Club. I'm a junior here at Westbury.
And when do you guys meet?
Well, we meet every other Monday at the Student Union. So, you know, if you guys want to join, if you guys want to come to the meetings, we're going to be there. Just let us know. You can contact anybody on the e-board and we'll let you know when.
Great. And you're a new club, right?
Yes, we're a new club this semester.
Great.
So we
Spreading the photography love.
Yep.
Here with the president of the art club,
Fiona.
And what do you have coming up this semester?
So we actually have a photo shoot scheduled this semester on Thursday. We're also doing a bunch of photo walks and we're going to learn digital animation. So we do specialize in all types of art, from photography, painting, sculpting, animation. As you can see, one of our friends is drawing right now. Also open to any other media that you guys would want to try or be interested in.
And when do you meet?
We meet on Thursdays in F113 in BF Wing. And Wednesdays is our open house during Common Hour.
Great. All right. Thank you so much. Come by, guys.
What are some of the goals and aspirations for the radio station?
Well, that's a good question. I think the goals usually end up being defined by the technologies that are in play and technologies that are arriving in the future. But moreover, I think it's really about student engagement. I think that depending upon what the students want to engage in the most determines the flow of which way we decide to go. I think for me, one of the most difficult aspects of radio is sports and news. Okay, news and sports covers all three phases of production. So I will always supersede music or entertainment programming with news and sports and education related programming. But for example, even this semester, we really thrived in live sports broadcasting. So when you're thriving really well in one area, other areas may be neglected as a result. I think students kind of dictate that tone, and it's also about where I feel or where I see the market going and what skills students need to have. I might try to aim students down a certain road.
What do you think is one of the biggest things students take as a learning aspect from being a part of the radio station?
That varies depending upon the student. I do feel though that students walk away with a greater understanding of how radio works, and I think they have an understanding of the discipline that is required to be successful, I think not just in radio, but I think just in the workforce overall, I've always felt that radio always has a sense of community. I joke around, I say we're a functional, dysfunctional family. But the bottom line is that we have to get the job done. And that's what it's about. And when I think about students that engage in radio and television and print and the like, we're talking about a profession that demands the best use of your time. And for radio and TV specifically, it's deadlines. So I think they learn how to be a better broadcaster. I think they cultivate better writing skills. They find their own voice, and that's what I like to find in them and identify and kind of bring that out in them. I think for every student, their experience is different, but the students that are engaged, they get the most out of the environment in any institution.
Although this is a college radio station, you do take it very serious and you do treat it just as if it was a professional radio station. Yeah. Do you have any alumni that have graduated and have been successful off of starting on the OWWR's radio station?
Absolutely. Most the students that have been engaged the most, they're the ones that achieve the most success. And it's hard. New York is a tough market to go to school for radio and then try to get work in radio. I always teach students to start in small to medium-sized market radio or TV stations, get the experience they need, get polished, and then they can try to come back to New York and then try to get that job that they want. But yet on the flip side of the coin, I've had so many students graduate and within a year or less, they're working in the field full-time. And you know, from CBS Radio to Cox Media to Sirius XM, and even in television also, ABC, CBS, NBC, even some of the private cable stations. I think our students do really well, and I don't think a lot of people know that or recognize that effort by our faculty, and I think it speaks volumes about our resources and about our faculty here too. One story I could share, we have this event Media Talks every year where we have alumni that are in the business come back and speak to students. One person is actually coming back from CBS Sports, came here and I told him to do a sports talk show. He wanted to do it with someone else. I said, you don't need to do it with somebody else because I recognize he had the abilities. Fast forward, he ends up doing his own sports talk show and he was fantastic at it. He gets his internship. He's interning at WFAN his last semester of his senior year, and he was a December graduate. Turned out midway through the semester, I learned that his boss was one of my former students from about 18 years ago. Fast forward from there, a job opportunity opened up at WFAN. There were 5 people that applied, and of the 5, 3 were eligible for the position. He was one of the 3. And I got a phone call saying, I don't want to say anything, but one of your boy, he's got a shot. He graduated. 2 days later, he was engineering his first overnight board op show at CBS for WFAN. And he's still with them today. So that's one of like 100 stories I could tell.
All right, well, thank you, Professor Manfredi, for taking the time to answer these questions today.
Thank you.
So to get a professor's perspective on advising, we'll be speaking to Professor B on who teaches and advises in the Department of Mathematics, Computer, and Information Science. Professor B, happy to have you.
Happy
so
to be
tell
here.
me your name, because before the interview I kept butchering your name and I apologize. So tell me your name.
Ashok Baswapatna.
Baswapatna. Sounds good. I should have just said that. So how long have you been teaching at SUNY Old Westbury?
I've been teaching at SUNY Old Westbury for 3 years. This is actually my this is the 2.5 year. So at the end of this, it'll be 3 years.
How do you enjoy it?
I'm liking it a lot. I love the diversity here. I love our students. And I love the class sizes. I love that you can really make a connection with the students.
Explain the reasons why students should be advised. Like, what's the #1 reason why you'd say that?
I think there's more than one reason why a student should be advised. So the #1 reason, right, is this keystone class idea, right? You miss that class, and then suddenly you have to wait on taking that class before you can take any other class. So that class unlocks all these other classes for you, and you miss that. And so getting to that point, getting that class, or getting those sets of classes, and then being able to move on, ensures you graduate on time. But there's another notion here too, which is why students should get advised, and that notion is the idea of having a sane semester. So a lot of times students will come in and they'll say, I know what classes I have to take, and then they'll show me a slate of classes that's like 3 math classes and like 2 programming classes. And the idea that you can do all that in a semester and
is it possible to do? Because I'm not a math major, I don't know anything,
Maybe, but not for the typical student, right? Maybe it might be possible for maybe like 3% of the students or something like that to go to the catalog and figure out what you need to graduate and kind of plan things out, but then see an advisor with that plan. It doesn't hurt, right? And
definitely doesn't hurt. That's just a benefit, right? There's no hurting, seeing.
And they might be able to see something in that plan that might say something like, oh, this semester is going to be extremely stressful for you if you're doing that. And so maybe we need to shuffle these around a little bit. Something I often tell students, is like, oh, well, maybe you can take this math class over the summer, right? Or maybe you could take this programming class over the summer and you don't have to take it at that point since it's not a prerequisite for other things and you're still moving towards graduation.
Because you want to graduate as fast as possible. That's the goal for a lot of students.
You want to graduate as fast as possible, but you also want to be able to enjoy the classes you take, right? And that's an important part too. You have to start advising and you barely know, what classes are around you, right? I mean, it's 3 months into the semester. So I guess if you started in August, right? It's 3 months or 4 months into the semester, and you need to have been brought up to speed and know the ins and outs of the department and know the fact that maybe some of the stuff that's printed isn't all the information that's there, right? Maybe
how would you find more information? How would you
talk to you would talk to your chair of your department.
Seek help then.
Someone who knows, right?
Yeah,
someone who has that institutional knowledge. For example, one thing that happens that's a very specific situation. Like if you come in, let's say,
give an example. Go ahead.
2013, right? Okay. And you're an MIS student, or you're a CIS student, or something like that. A certain class might count as an elective, a upper division elective for you, but not count for me because I came in 2018, for example, like that. So you come in with the requirements that you come in with are the requirements that you have to fulfill, and the requirements that I come in with are the requirements I have to fulfill. So even though the latest thing might say that this class does not count for you, it actually will count for you, and an advisor would be able to know that.
Oh, okay. So it depends on the experience, really. It depends on the student. Depends what classes.
Yeah, it gets fairly individualized at that level, and that's not something that commonly comes up, but it is a thing that happens every once in a while, and a student will be like, oh, I really wanted to take this class, and I'll be like, you can take this class.
Yeah.
It totally works for you.
Hopefully students now will get advised. Well, I'm going to go get advised right now.
Yeah, go get advised.
Mr. B, Professor B, pleasure.
Thank you so much, Ricardo.
Thank you.